Nice to meet you. I'm Sean.
Sean and Yvette. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
So really like the presentation. This is our first time really looking at catamarans.
Okay.
We've owned, operated powerboats for a very, very long time. First time looking at these, especially sailing. We know nothing of sailing. So, initially we're looking at 3 to 5 years. We buy a cat. This is our first real boat show looking at them. How do we? And this is a real eye opener as far as insurance. Monthly costs, fixed costs. So looking at that was an eye opener. Got me more thinking about, well, maybe we get the boat in 3 years. We're not at retirement age. We put the boat maybe into a rental situation, into a lease back, whatever, and then take the boat over after 5 years of that or something. So maybe walk us through a little bit of that.
Sure. Well, probably the first question is, so the end game for you guys is just sail away, right? So you need to be in a size range that you can handle comfortably yourselves, right? Because it's mostly just going to be you two. So the first thing that kind of sets the direction that you're going in, and it could, I would say probably the biggest boat that you'd want to do that on would be like a 48, right? And then certainly you could go down from there. So 40, 42, 44, you're going to be predominantly looking at a bareboat program. And as an example, what you would do, I would sit you down with, as a starting point, with Jim Query. He runs Virgin Islands Yacht Charters, and he can walk you through the different models that he has for a bareboat program on like a 44 or a 42. And essentially what it will boil down to is we have what we call a pro forma, and that breaks down the distribution of the charter revenue between covering the operating expenses, the dockage, the insurance, and things like that, and what your share of that income is. Typically, it doesn't work out to cover all the costs, meaning your financing as well, but you still use the boat and cover almost all of your holding costs, not including the mortgage on the boat. You would do it as an active participation. So if you're still working, you'll do that depreciation, and you'll take a business loss at the end of the year based on the depreciation schedule. And so you'll pay less in taxes, from your personal income. That's a real thing. Jim is flexible enough that a lot of the cookie cutter programs you're locked into like a 5-year term. Right, and then if you want to take it out early, they charge a penalty or whatever it is. Jim can be pretty flexible. They actually do most of their agreements on an annual renewal basis. So if you said for whatever reason you weren't happy in the program and you wanted to go somewhere else, you'd be out of that. Or our plan at the beginning is a 3-year deal, and he's fine with that too. So
and we would be able to use the boat when it's we just say, hey, we'd like to block it off for this period of time for like a week here, a week there. We get to use the boat. The rest of the time, it's available to generate revenue for the charter company. We end up, well, like you said, I wouldn't expect for the program to pay. I don't think it'd be profitable for us, but it would also allow us in that first 5 years to also learn the boat. We have access to the charter company for gaining experience. I'm thinking, helping us out. Those are the sort of things I'm kind of thinking see an advantage. Of course, the disadvantage is we're not going to be living on it, but I don't think we'd be living on it until we're at retirement point,
Right.
So at that time we decide to sell the boat, and whatever the boat sells for, we can use that as to buy another boat. Right. At that point, we can.
By way of storage, though, so we've kind of heard different things that you can store it. Like one company said that they have their storage under.
It's under the flight path for Fort Lauderdale, and so the boats are always full of diesel, so we want to make sure. Well, I mean, obviously these don't come out. They're not going to dry store these. There's just really no way to dry store them, I'd imagine.
No, not practically. No, I mean in Florida, especially. I mean in the northern climates, a lot of them get hauled out for the winter, but most boats don't. This size don't even go there, right? So no, what's nice about almost any charter management company is the boat's being used, right? So if it's going out for charter, it's getting clean on the turnarounds, the worst thing for a boat is just to sit there and not get used. So, when you're in charter service, there's somebody watching it, somebody on it. A good charter management company will take a report when the charter comes back, any deficiencies, and they get attention on it right away. So
let's say we look at that 46 down there. we go ahead and take possession of it. We buy one, get into a charter service. Charter service says this would be the most profitable spot for. Let's just say we go to Puerto Rico. They park it in Puerto Rico. We're like, hey, we would like to sail down. So we fly down. We can use it if it's stationed there and it's not being used. We can do things like that.
Oh yeah, most of the program. The only thing to keep in mind, so the revenue, the charter rates fluctuate with the different seasons, right? So the winter time, November, December, January, the holidays, that's the peak revenue, right? So that's when the rates are the highest. In the summertime, you have your shoulder seasons on either side of that, and then the summertime is like the lowest. So your owner time, you can book it whenever you want. Right, but as a partner in that business, you have to balance the equation of, do I take the revenue for the high weeks or do I take my personal time? And so, that's a decision that you make with the operator. Obviously, they prefer to have it operating in charter service during those times because they get a cut of the revenue, right? But they're still willing to work with you. I think a lot of people take personal time, a week or two, just not the whole month, right?
Well, I think it's great. I really appreciate you doing this presentation. It really opened up our eyes to how things work.
That's what we're here for.
And I'm sure we'll have more questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, so did you get a chance to look at the boats at all yet here? Oh,
We've looked at a few, and they're very nice. We started at the beginning, but the H-Bally's are nice. They're very nice also. Looks like these companies all take great pride in their workmanship. So
they do a good job. Yeah, the Bali brand, and if you're new, Katana probably doesn't mean too much for you, but Katana is a brand that's been around for, I think, 40 years. And their specialty now, they've evolved into kind of a performance product.
Yeah, I saw those dagger boards sticking up, and I'm like, how fast does that thing go?
That's a fast boat. Yeah. He said, they just, that boat just won what's called the Arc Race, which is it's from the Canaries down into the Caribbean, first place. And the top speed was 25 knots. Surfing on a wave, and I think he said that the sailing speed top was like 15. So that boat's a handful. It's a lot of fun, but it's not. I mean, and it has cruising amenities, but you need to know what you're doing to keep it upright.
We'll be all right.
But my point in mentioning it was, so the heritage of Bali is Katana, and so in order to achieve that level of performance, you have to use the highest tech construction techniques. Because catamarans in general, if you're talking about a performance product, it's all about the power to weight ratio. The lighter the boat is, the faster it's going to go. Now, you start loading the boat up with, air conditioners and water makers and all kinds of gear, and then you're naturally going to slow the boat down. But the advantage that has carried over from the Katana into the Bali range is the technical ability to execute that high-tech construction. So they use foam core. It's a vacuum process, so you get the strongest, lightest structure that allows the boat not only to be stiff so it doesn't twist and bend, but also at the same time minimizes the penalty of all the extra cruising gear that you would have on the boat. So the boat actually is not a crazy 25 knot boat, but it sails really well, even though it's a cruising boat. Right?
Well, thank you again, Eric.
Yeah, Sean, yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to check out our website, catamaranguru.com. And for our YouTube channel, like and subscribe as well to get updates.